Is dropping the bucket for every meal, and so thank you very much. Have a great day. Come on down for food after the meeting. Thank you.
That's right, and that's our other announcement, that immediately after the service, we're going to have our annual meeting. You are all welcome to stick around. Members can vote. We'll have, in between services, the service and the annual meeting, we'll have a sign-up sheet. If you are watching on Livestream and you would like to participate in the annual meeting, if you're a member, you can just go ahead and sign in by putting your name in the chat. And that way we know if there's one person watching or two, and we can keep that straightened out. Any other announcements that I'm missing? All right, please stand as you're able for the benediction. Now, may the triune God, who has put a new song in your mouth and tuned your heart for praise, bless you in the name of God the Father, and the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Amen. Please remain standing. We'll sing together, What a Fellowship. Prayer of good courage. O God, you have called your servants to ventures of which we cannot see the ending, by paths as yet untrodden, through perils unknown. Give us faith to go out with good courage, not knowing where we go, but only that your hand is leading us and your love supporting us, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. All right. How are you doing?
I don't make
John, are you ready for me to start the devotional? Are you making a run for it? No. Okay. I thought maybe you were making a run for it. I'd understand if you did. What's that? Oh, yeah. What number is it at again? Anyways, we're going to do the discussion in our seats, and then we can sing it to wrap up that part. Could you find the number real quick? Great. Friends, while we're getting settled, I thought we could start with the devotional right away. Once again, folks in the room should have signed. The sign-in pad is going around. John, do we have folks online on the live stream? Yes. Perfect. And have they signed in? A couple? Perfect. And when the action items are voted on, they can write yes or no in the comments as well. Yeah, that's one of the constitutional changes we made 2-3 years ago. Remember how much fun that was to do the Constitution? Yeah, that was great. Well, so for our devotional, I thought I would share an image that I really like for this. You may recall that I've actually shared it before. Can we have the slide? So I was reading about a scientific study, and it's not a new study, but it's been on my mind really as we've been moving through Epiphany with that theme of both the guiding light of the star and also that sense of our baptism guiding our days. It's this image and this research, this study where research participants, they got mazes, right? And so they got these mazes that were just lines on the paper, and they were asked to do the maze as quickly as possible to get from beginning to end. And they were trying to help a little mouse, kind of like that one, to get in there into the middle. And there were two versions. One version had a cartoon owl, maybe like that one, that the mouse was trying to run away from. The whole point was to get the mouse into safety, right? And in the other version, the mouse, you were helping him quickly move through the maze in order to get a reward, to get a little piece of cheese. And so the study wanted to find out which of these groups was going to complete the maze faster, the ones that moved the mouse towards the cheese, or the ones that quickly tried to move the mouse so that it didn't get eaten by the owl. And it's really like this. It's just lines on the page. There is no owl, there is no mouse, there is no cheese sitting in front of us. But can you believe it? It turned out that the folks who were running their mouse away from the owl went so much more slowly than the ones who were moving the mouse to get the reward, to move it towards the cheese. It turns out that even just the imagination of a reward or a goal or a direction was so much more motivated than running away from a threat, even if it was imagined. And it makes perfect sense if you think about it. When we're moving towards something, towards hope, towards a goal, towards a vision of the future, we get focused on the outcome that we want. We get focused on that future that we're called to drive towards. But when we're moving away from something we fear, we're only motivated to stay alive, to survive, to avoid the threat. This fall, so ever since this summer, we've had this theme verse, Isaiah 43:19. I'm about to do a new thing. Now it springs forth, do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. That was the first name that we used for our new creation team. We found that it was confusing because people weren't sure whether we were talking about Isaiah, the political thing, or Isaiah, the new creation team. So we changed it. But as we're sort of wrapping up this first phase of exploring the question, it's helpful, I think, to remember what's been guiding us throughout this first part of this process. I'm about to do a new thing. God continues to renew, restore, and redirect us throughout our whole lives. And God's mission and call comes out ahead of a congregation out ahead of all of us, because the call of the church is so much bigger than four walls and one little gathering like ours. God is working all throughout our community, our neighborhoods, our city, and our world, calling us, guiding us, and shaping us. And God is doing a new thing, bringing renewal, even when we feel like we're wandering the wilderness, even when we're looking for that movement through the desert. So I thought we would start the meeting with a couple of conversation groups. And I want to know, as we're getting ready to go, as we begin to look towards our life at First in 2026, what's something that's giving you hope? What's your cheese? All right, so find a couple of people around us and share what your cheese is with them. All right. You may have to move closer to someone else in order to talk to them. Hey, ladies, what's your cheese? What's your cheese for 2026? Do you have any resolutions? What's giving you hope? Good. So you're really motivated by getting together with other folks. Yeah, that's great to hear. Good. Adrian, what's your cheese? Okay. Okay. Did you guys figure it out? No. Well, I was thinking mostly for the church, but I think they're connected somehow. Uh-huh. I think so. I think that's it. Yeah, all of us, right? Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Made it 2,000 years so far. John, I'm going to take the green one. Do we have any volunteers who want to share what that hope, what's giving you hope for 2026, or what that cheese is for First Lutheran Church that you're thinking about? Who's someone who would be willing to share? Ruth, would you say what you told me again? Here's the microphone. Yeah, so she said, we're hoping that we're all still here as long as the church is, right? And that's great news, because the church is about 2,000 years old and promises to extend long beyond us, doesn't it? Yep. Good. Who else has a thought?
Exactly. Dan's cheese is the new creation potlucks, and just how joyful they are, and the wonderful community that's building there.
And I'll short Chris's. Figure it's only fair. Her cheese is to be able to use her gifts in the way that she's able to work toward justice and peace with the protests and everything that are going on right now. And I would say not to feel bad about where she's limited, but to use her gifts the way she can.
Yeah, that's it. So we are able to do more together. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else brave? All right, Artie's brave. Here you go, Artie.
Okay, I talked to the people at Cross of Glory, and my main concern was, will I still be able to quilt? Mm-hmm. And they said they had a lovely quilting company, so if we go with them, we'll have more people.
That's right. So there's the cheese that that sign of hope might be that we're able to do more things together by coming together with a couple other churches. Anybody else back here have a hope or a cheese that you want to share? I won't put you on the spot, but do you certainly, anybody else want to share something hopeful as we're getting going? All right. There are more hopeful things to come. Let's begin with prayer. Gracious God, we're so thankful for the way that you continue to call us anew in every time and in every place. God, as we discern the future, as we listen to your voice, as you guide us today, we ask that you would be mightily present in this place, through each and every one, through the Holy Spirit, guiding us towards Jesus Christ our Lord. God, bless us in this time. Inspire our hearts. Give us the words we need, and move among us with your peace and that confidence that we have in you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right.
I'm running for re-election, so. I call the 74th annual meeting of First Lutheran to order. Let's see. Does everybody have the minutes? First order of business is minutes from the last meeting, provided by Adrian Knotts, our secretary. Any comments, changes? Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Aye.
It sounds like a couple other folks need some annual reports. Can you raise your hand if you have an annual report yet?
Got 3 so far, Colin. Everybody sign in? I'm assuming that's yes. I think Ben and Alita over there.
King? Okay, you guys got some?
Barry needs one.
Here you go. Do you want the budget worksheet? Would anyone else like a budget worksheet? Yeah. All right. Dean, you want to see if there... Anybody else a budget worksheet? Great.
Everybody good?
Good enough.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Oh, nice.
Pastor Dan, we have a second. Chris Swarczyk. Okay, all those in favor of the minutes being approved as written? Aye. Those opposed? Nay. Hearing none, the minutes are approved as written. Okay. Let's see. There are some ministry reports in the annual report. I read them over. They all seem in order and hopeful, so that's good. Let's see. Where am I at? Oh, you shouldn't read last year's minutes when you need the agenda. So my annual report was, we weren't here a lot of the year because Ellie and I both broke bones in our legs at the same time, and it's on the right side. So we spent 8 weeks hobbling around. Turns out if you go out in the street with your wheelchair and your cast, a lot of people will give you a ride. So renewed my faith in humanity. If you're a science fan, which I know Chris is, the James Webb Space Telescope discover another moon around Uranus. Don't all clap at once, okay?
That's right.
Our cookouts went well again this year with I think we had 2 of them that we had bad weather. Didn't we? Yeah. But I think you can see that program starting to take hold because it grows slowly and it kind of keeps its strength year to year. So believe that's a very good addition to the church. There's two big items on the agenda today. One of them is new creation, which Colin just talked about. And the other is the budget for 2026. So new creation, I think last year at this time we were still speed dating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We were just about to start speed dating.
Yeah, that's right. So we talked to other members of the wildfire community, and then throughout the year, we settled on Faith Lilac Way and Cross of Glory, which is where the current effort is. We've had several meetings talking about that. So I know there's been some questions about House of Hope, but I think they would have been okay with merger. I'm not sure they would have been okay with consolidation. So let's see. So there's 2 meetings a month with the mission team for new creation. And it started out as just kind of getting to know people, and it's gotten to the point now where everybody's pretty comfortable, and it's a good group because everybody speaks their mind, and I don't think there's anybody there that is not committed to this and willing to do what we need to do to figure out if this is the right path forward. So as you know, there's 3 paths. One is we can spend our money, and then when it runs out, we close the doors and go our own ways. The next one is merge, which we talked about, where, you know, we moved to another church and now we're part of that church. We don't retain any of our identity or practices. And then the third one is consolidation, which is what we're looking at, where the 3 churches have equal voice in what we're going to create next. And to do that new creation, we're going to close 3 churches and we're going to open 1 new one. So that's how we're looking at that. And then, are we going to have Q&A?
Are you ready to? Yeah.
Yeah, let's do Q&A.
Should we do that? So let's. The new creation team has an outline. Do you want to? Are you done with your report?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll move on to the new creation discussion.
Yep.
Do you guys want to grab microphones and go up there with Dean? And then, John, we've got some slides to go along with the presentation.
So Carrie and Barry are our 2 members on the mission team. So the mission team for new creation is the head pastor, which is Colin, and then the president of each congregation, which is me, and then these 2 brave folks.
Huzzah.
Huzzah. Ladies first.
I think I just turned the microphone on. Colin had asked if we could share some stories of what we've experienced so far as being part of the mission team. Louder? Is that better? Okay. One thing that hit me, I think probably at our first meeting, was how much the energy in the room that I was experiencing at our new creation meetings reminded me of stories that I heard growing up. My grandparents, Alice and Orville Hamlin, were founding members of this church, and they had told me back, I heard this story a lot of times, they had told me about the forming of this church, how back in the early 50s, there was a pastor from St. Olaf that on Sunday afternoons or evenings would take his kids all the way out to Crystal and see all the houses that were being built. And, you know, he'd go out one week and then come back the next week, and there was just great expansion. And he said, we need to plant a church here. So my grandparents were part of a group that had attended St. Olaf when they lived in Minneapolis. They had moved out here. Excuse me. And there was a lot of energy and a lot of responsibility that they felt planting a church here. I think there's a lot of energy at the idea of our new creation, and there's also a lot of responsibility. I am so thankful that I get to be at this chapter of our church's life.
Thanks.
That's all.
Thanks, Gary.
Yeah, how are you doing today? I'll be louder. Everybody hear me?
John,
Good?
can you move off the slide?
Nah, just kidding.
Can you move off the slide so people can see him on the video?
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I was approached by Dean and Pastor to be part of this. I accepted, and I'm part of the team to do this. And what I've taken away in the time that I've been part of the meetings and the thought process of what we're doing is, one, I heard earlier in the comments that if we choose Cross of Glory, this is going to work. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that this is not a choosing of anybody. As Dean said, this is truly a consolidation. This is where, and if you caught it or didn't, that this is closing 3 churches. Like, they're all 3 going to close. And then we're, as a team of people from those 3 churches, coming up with a new path forward. One of the Pastor Allie from Cross of Glory, she at one meeting had said, when we're doing this, we shouldn't be looking at, what building are we going to be in, or, what's the, we shouldn't start thinking about, is there going to be 14 people in the choir? What we really need to do is look at the why, and ultimately that's where we're at. Is we're really needing to start the process of sitting down and figuring out what is it that this new entity, this new creation wants to do? What missions and ministries does this group of people, along with 2 other groups of people that come together to do something special in the world, what is it we want to do? I mean, there could be a case made that when we get together and say our why is to virtually just admire ministry across the world, in which case maybe we don't even use a building. I'm not saying that's the case. I don't want to alarm anybody, but I'm saying that that's the possibilities that we're trying. And the team that we're with has truly dropped those blockades so that we're not looking at, I'm just going to say for argument's sake, if we use the Faith Lilac Way building in the end, the Faith Lilac Way is not the one leading the charge. That's not the way that's going to happen. And they've came to that realization too, is that that's not how that's going to work. It could be that we rearrange their sanctuary so that it's a new place with a new way and everybody's looking at it in a new space. So I guess I'm rambling here for a minute, but ultimately, I think that it's exciting to know that 3 churches that have some significant challenges that at their very core challenge the existence of all 3 of those entities, like significantly, to the point of maybe never existing at some point in the near future. At least with this renewed energy, we have an opportunity to take some people who are excited with us. I know all of you, and I know that this is an exciting group of people who have a lot of passion for life and doing ministry. And I think we found 2 other groups that are similar. They really, truly want to do some special things in the world. And as we mentioned, Dean mentioned House of Hope and the other wildfire churches that are out there. They were not interested in that. They were truly interested in, hey, bring your money, your talents, and your people to our church, and then you can come and part of what we're doing. And we just didn't think that we just don't think that that's what you guys wanted to do. And that's why we're doing what we're doing, is that this is more of a creating something new and fresh with your ideas to make sure that we're able to have a future in a special place with a new, and it's exciting. Like, just like when this church was started, the people who were part of that, and I know there's some here who've been here for a long, long time, if not from the beginning. When you got to create this new church, man, how excited was that? Or if your families or your parents or whatever were part of that, man, when that was happening, there was excitement. I wasn't here, but I can imagine that there was tingles and like, oh, we're starting a new church. Isn't this awesome? That's great. We are hoping, and we've talked about in our meetings, gosh, let's take some of that energy. Like, we're part of, we get to be part of starting something from scratch, like fresh. Like, hey, let's go do something really cool in the world, and be impactful on the world. And I think that in the end, I hope that everybody's at least taking a glimmer of that, if I say anything, to know that we are not going to one church. We're not, combining with a church. We are actually starting something new, and that gives us an opportunity to do some special things. And it may not be the same things we do here, but that maybe it's a hybrid. What we do with something they do, and we come together with something that's really awesome. And the commitment of the group that does that is really is a special group. We also, our meetings are open. We've offered that up. You're welcome to come sit and listen. You don't get to participate in what we're dealing with and how we're saying it, but come. I encourage you, because it's exciting to listen and hear all the things that are being talked about, and the joy and the excitement of the group that's there and what they see is coming to. So, sorry, I got a little long-winded, but that's my experience. My hope for the 2026 is truly that we have a future. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'll be a little bit blunt here and say, the fact is that if you look at our budgets and you look at our membership and you look at where we're at, it's in decline, and there's an option here to just let that ride the train out, or we can get on board this new train with a couple other groups of people who are excited about the future, and see if we can't maybe change that trajectory to something special and do something really cool. All right, sorry, I used cool like 15 times. All right, I'm gonna stop that.
Hey, that was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, much appreciated. So
thanks.
hold on to this. So we got to hear from them about what they're excited about. And so we'd also like to have a little discussion in our seats. With a neighbor or two around you, we want to hear that same question. What's a story, what's a glimpse, what's a time that you've seen the hope or possibility of new creation? And so let's have a quick discussion in our seats so that we can share a little about that. All right. Talk amongst yourselves, talk amongst yourselves. John, can you put the question back up? It's the first slide. That's all right. So, oh yeah, we're doing fine. But so next we want to. To share their glimpse. What was something that you've seen? We kind of we got into this water a little bit with the last group conversation. Who'd like to share something that they're thinking about?
Since I have a microphone?
Ha!
Yeah, well. What struck me is the first potluck we had here with the three churches, because there was a lot of energy in the room, and it was like kind of like a family reunion where you got together with parts of your family that you didn't really know yet, So there was, I think, a lot of folks in the room that were excited to be there, and there were, people talking around the tables. You could kind of see as the potlucks have been going on, there's more and more people are kind of warming up to it. So.
And Karen was willing to share her thoughts, right? Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to having larger groups of
It's the green microphone.
for the women's groups, men's groups. We don't have that here right now, and I'm not sure if the other groups do, but I think we could do a lot with the women's groups, and not just the quilting, but other things
Absolutely.
as well, and as well as the men's, with the Bible study and men's special things.
Thanks, Karen. That's a great observation. Daryl?
I don't know if I'm missing something here, but a new creation is so. Which church are we looking to open for a new creation? Are we gonna start looking for a complete new building somewhere else?
That's a great question. So that's not what we're talking about right now, but we're going to get into that here in just a second. Is there anybody else who wants to share one of those glimpses with us? Because I know there are a lot of logistical questions, and that's actually, yeah, what this process is all about.
I think you, Dean, kind of gave a glimpse of the first potluck, but prior to that, when the three councils met, that was a big surprise because I think at every single table, there were people that had some kind of connection one way or another, and it was very surprising that we all had some connection to people from the other churches, and it was like, oh, I know you from this, or oh, I know you, and it was very, very interesting. There was a constant conversation at all the tables, and it was just the councils from each group. So that was really interesting.
Thanks, Alita. Appreciate you sharing. Yeah, fantastic. We are going to do a couple more FAQs. If you're looking in your annual report, in that right after President Dean's report is a little section on the new creation, some of these different frequently asked questions and that sort of topic. It sounds like, do you want to, can we have the next slide, John? There we go. So, Dean, like you were saying, instead of the future happening to us, we're hopefully going to, yeah. Do you want to say anything else about that as we're getting going here?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about, I think when we started with the mission team meetings, we talked about just sitting around the campfire till it went out and then, you know, wandering off into the darkness. But I think everybody that has been in the mission team meetings has expressed the excitement that it's a renewal. So, you know, it's kind of that cycle of death and resurrection again. So,
yeah, God's all about doing a new thing, right? Death and resurrection is at the center of our faith, isn't it? Good. So, Carrie, would you mind sharing? The question that we get the most, and Barry talked a little bit about it already too, is sort of what brings these three churches together? So, what do you suppose?
Yeah, we hear that question a lot. Except for when Barry's talking.
yeah.
Oh. So, Cross of Glory, First Lutheran, and Faith Lilac Way all seem to have slightly different reasons for being at the same point in their church's life. We're all a year or two out from closing doors. Other churches in the bonfire, wildfire groups were not there. They were, willing to have us come and merge with them, where we would close our doors and we would just go over and we would become members of, let's say, House of Hope. We wouldn't get a say in how things were done. We would, I would imagine, be welcomed. But with a consolidation like this, we get a say. We can investigate what the other two churches are doing, what we might want to incorporate. We get to find out things that we have in common. We get to find out what our weaknesses are. We get to find out what our strengths are and hopefully run with those strengths. So this is a way of being in charge of our destiny, kind of.
I think that's great. Yeah. Do you want to put a finer point at all on the merger consolidation thing, or do people feel like they've got that?
The merger is, we go to another church and we assume their identity, basically. Consolidation is you work together to come up with something that reflects the values of all three. That's kind of the simple difference.
Barry, come on over here, man.
Yeah.
Use the microphone.
Wait.
So Barry, what we're going to do is we're going to do the presentation, and then we'll take the questions at the end, if you don't mind.
I'm just saying this, I'm not trying to divert things, but
Yeah.
if they help us here on what
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yes. I understand now. I thought you wanted general questions.
No, no.
Yeah.
But anybody have different, questions specifically about what the merger and the consolidation is? I know we've explained it pretty well, so.
Yeah, I think we've heard it a couple of times, but
We've explained it pretty well. But
is it clear why we're choosing this path? There's more power sharing, we're on an equal footing, we're all in a very similar situation. That's kind of the points that we've been hearing a couple times. Anyone else have a question about that part? Daryl?
Yes.
Daryl's, yeah, the building stuff is down the road. So we'll, we're not up to that point yet. So so should we
Can
talk a little bit about this path that we're on?
Can I just say one thing to
Absolutely.
Daryl's question, please? To the building question, I just want to talk about it for a second. I don't want to get into details of it, but the reality of it is here's the reality of building situation.
Barry, we don't have a reality of the building situation yet, and so I just want to pause there because we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. And so let's talk now about the roadmap for the new creation. Can we have that next slide, please? So when we have been talking about this process, what we're doing is proposing a process that's going to span for about another year and a half. And so since this summer, we've been in phase 1, right? So in the summer, in August, we sent out letters, we put stuff in the newsletter, we shared in church and started having monthly new creation updates, specifically saying that what we're doing is exploring a new creation, right? And so this process at the beginning has been about asking the question, is there something here? Does somebody want to share a little bit more about what this first part has been like? What have we been doing and sort of what's been going on that brings us to this point?
Yeah, we shared kind of our stories of how the church has started. We shared the weekly attendance. We talked about a little bit about the history of the churches, and most of us, I think Cross of Glory is the oldest one, right? 1948, or is it?
Faith Lilac Way is slightly older.
Then there's us, and then Cross of Glory. And then we got together and we looked at each other's annual reports and budgets. So
Boy, that was fun.
Yeah.
Nothing like a gathering of the annual reports. Right?
Yeah, that's right. It's great reading. We read them aloud just so.
That's right. I read mine twice. I thought it was so much fun.
So we, try to get a handle on how big are we, and I think the values are very similar amongst the three churches. I don't think there's a big difference. There's some differences in the services and how they're handled. The buildings are different. Cross of Glory, their building is too big and they can't afford it, basically. They have a charter school that essentially pays the maintenance on the building, but they don't have enough left to actually do preventative maintenance things. They have 4.5 acres, which is zoned residential. Different. When we sold our building, this is zoned as a church. So Faith Lilac Way, they're the smallest of the three, and they're in about the same shape we are, I think.
Yep, very similar, slightly lower attendance, but very similar in a lot of ways.
I don't know that they have a whole lot they have some reserve funds, but it's not huge.
But they do have a building.
Yeah,
and
they
so
have a building.
that's sort of how that works.
Yeah. We have
Air
a rental-
conditioning too.
Oh,
Yeah.
You noticed that, huh? Yeah.
And so, go ahead, Carrie.
Another thing that we learned at the first couple meetings was that we're not the first churches to do this.
Yeah.
There is research, there is experience that we get this roadmap from. So, Daryl, I hear you asking the question about building. The roadmap indicates that we're not there yet. We have to do these first steps of getting to know each other, hearing our pastors preach, sharing meals together, before we get to those other spots.
Right. So it's kind of, when we're doing this, we're thinking sometimes about the metaphor of like, men and women and men and men and whatever. Anyways, marriage coming together. That idea that at the beginning, you don't jump right into life-changing agreements like marriage, right? I mean, there are people who do, but how does that go, right? And so, instead, we're beginning with this process of getting to know one another. And so,
I think there's a
We've-
song about that in there.
which one do you have in mind?
It's the one from The King and I, Getting to Know You. They used to
Getting
do
to
it all
know you.
Yeah,
There you go.
it was kind of
You
a
take it away.
lead pipe cinch for all the Miss America pageants.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and so, I mean, this is what we've been doing up to this point. And so, that's what these community meals, the preaching rotation, and Advent services have been about. And so, today, we're deciding, we're going to have a vote about whether or not to keep doing that. So we're gonna maybe say that this is worth continuing on the path. Because, like Dean was saying earlier, we started 2025 by having a series of pastor-president meetings with some other churches. And even some of those long-standing relationships with other churches that we thought might be the direction we were going. I mean, think of how many years St. James and First and House of Hope had been doing things together. And what we found is that that group wasn't going to work the way that we thought it would. But there is another group that we can do things together. And so now at this point, we're sort of saying, I think we've found a group, a gathering, a little collaboration that we might be able to make more significant steps with. And so today, it isn't about do or die, are we going to do this? Instead, it's are we going to continue this process? And so we want to tell you now about the next step in that process. We want to tell you about phase 2. Barry, you want to say something about the visioning teams? Absolutely.
One of the exercises that we did was we did a brainstorming where we took 4 pieces of paper and we took sticky notes, and we had 4 categories, and I'm drawing a blank on them, but basically it was resources we have, talents, physical assets that each of the groups had. What were the other 2? Associations with different groups. But the moral of the story here is that we did this for one of our meetings, is we took all that, each individual team or each individual church went through and wrote all those down on papers, then we went and put it up as a group, and it would be amazing that our group of all of those things was maybe this big, but they had different ones. And when you saw that picture of all of those things put together, just the associations with the different groups, we have NEAR and some of the different Caring, Sharing, Heart, some of those groups, well, they had a whole bunch of other ones. And it was exciting for me to see that as we put those combined things together, it really showed a bigger picture of just, again, back to the ministries that we can minister. So
I think that's so helpful. I think it's so helpful to remember. I mean, and gosh, we'd love to share. One of the members over at Faith Lilac made a big spreadsheet with all this information. I wasn't sure how to print it out, so we haven't shared it at one of the New Creation meetings yet. But I think it'd be wonderful just to lay that out so that we can really. It's such a great tangible reminder of sort of all of these different resources that we bring together when we start to collaborate. And so it's in that spirit that we're looking forward to a very active spring and summer. And so do you want to share a little bit more about sort of what phase 2 is going to look like? John, can we have the slide for phase 2? And there's also a description of phase 2 in your packet, in the annual reports.
Yeah, we'll continue meeting with the other 2 churches for meals and sharing services and things. And then we would like some folks from First to be on the visioning teams. Did we talk about that yet? No.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Barry gave a little recap before. Maybe he could share again sort of what's going on with that. Specifically, what are we doing with the work groups? What are we doing with those visioning teams?
Yeah, we're in the process of starting to put together subgroups to be able to bring, there's only so much 12 or the 12 of us can be doing, and our minds only go so far. And it's important that, if we're talking, I'm just for argument's sake, talking about quilting, we need to have some quilters in there to talk about what that consolidation process would look like. Or Bible studies. I heard Karen talk about the men's and women's and Bible studies. We want those people that are in the Bible studies to from all three groups to get together to see what a new Bible study creation looks like. We obviously don't want to leave the old Bible studies in their own consolidated pieces, because I think it's a healthy thing. And I think Bible studies back in the day were much bigger. I mean, that's the exciting part here, is if we can merge into some common Bible study groups and things of that sort, or any. We have property. There'll be some other levels of the way we do all of the different ministries, and how we have to bring all of those into some commonality. And to do that, we have to have people from each of those teams. So the ask is going to be of each of the congregations to ask people to be part of those teams to help guide those discussions. So it's not just the group that's the new creation team, but the actual members of the churches helping to shape what that future looks like for all those different ministries.
And a minute ago, Barry, one of the things that you mentioned is exactly why I think these groups are going to be so helpful. So we've got these, please put that back up, the slides. So the groups, we're looking at putting together 5 visioning work groups: worship and music, neighboring and justice, adult education, children, work, youth and family, and care and hospitality ministries. Now, we're going to give you descriptions that are a little more detailed about what falls under each heading, but the idea is to have 3 or 4 people from each church that are able to come together and also do field trips. So part of the idea is to go and see some of the other congregations in, St. Paul, Minneapolis synods that are doing some of these things at our size and scope well. And the hope is that by expanding our vision of what can happen in these different ministry areas, we are also able to avoid the conversation, are we going to do this my way or your way, right? Because at the moment, what we're really good at is saying, this is what First has done. And we either like it or we don't. And the same thing is true about Faith Lilac and Cross of Glory. And so the way that we want to blow up that dynamic is by having these groups go to other places and say, well, First in Columbia Heights does it this way, or Our Saviors in Minneapolis does it that way. That way, we're able to react to what we see on these site visits instead of sort of doing that tug of war of my way or your way, right? And so the hope is that we've got a handful of folks who are pretty excited about these visioning work groups. And the plan is to start these visioning work groups after Easter. And so during Lent, we'll start to send out surveys and ask for who would like to participate in order to keep that moving. Yeah, and good. And then those experiments that we've mentioned, does someone want to say about, I mean, that's exactly what Barry was just talking about. You know, the idea, because we already have a vision for Bible studies. We don't need to reinvent that. It's more about getting people together and seeing how that works. And so we've got a whole different set of categories for some of those things, right? Yeah. How long should we do that?
How long should we do what?
The phase 2 stuff.
Until we get it figured out?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's probably how that's going to work.
But I think we have a target of September probably of 26 to flesh this out. And, at this point, all we have is a concept. So kind of to Daryl's point, as we move on, you try to get the big stuff first and then funnel into the things that are more detail-oriented. So
Yeah.
I think in the interest of keeping going here, should we
I
ask
think,
for questions?
yeah.
Or?
So that next vote would be a little more important, right?
It would.
Yeah.
There would be multiple votes along the way.
Right. So this vote today is more about continuing the process, and the vote in the fall is a little bit more like getting engaged, right? In the fall, we would be taking very seriously this new vision of what we could do together. And if we decided that these experiments just weren't working, whether it's that experiment of bringing the Bible studies together, bringing the offices together, trying to envision what these different ministry areas would be like, if that is really not going well, then we would need to take that into account. But otherwise, we would be driving at that date sorry, it's the other slide. That other date of fall 26 in order to keep that rolling. Does anyone have any questions about phase 2? Sweet. Yeah. Should we?
Want to open it up for general questions?
Yeah, I think since this, yeah, that's a great idea.
If you got something that you're concerned about, let us know.
Okay, we were going to talk about that in the budget conversation, but if you want to talk about it now, we'd be happy to do that too. Right, so after Easter, we want to talk about some specific things, joint worship, and we would also be talking about putting together our office resources. And so right now, and this will be reflected in our budget, we have literally the exact same copier at 3 churches. We have literally the same resources that are going on in terms of how we make our office work, and that includes our office administration, our office administrator. And so in the budget, you will see that we will be proposing to put our office staff together, and so that would mean that John's job would end after Easter.
Other questions? Ruth?
I feel that this has been very well explained to us, and I think it's time for us to take a vote.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Ruth. A woman after my own heart. Let's see. Who's got the paper ballot? Everybody's got one? Okay. Simple yes or no. You need one, Ruth?
So, Dean, would you recap what this vote is?
This is a vote to continue the mission team's work on new creation.
In fact, I think we have language right here for the specific question.
All right. See, new creation vote of confidence. This is not a vote to consolidate. It's a vote to continue to explore the process with Faith, Lilac Way, and Cross of Glory. We're asking for your support to continue this road towards new creation, to be open to new beginning for first in the future of what God has in store for us, for our neighborhood and church community. So vote your heart on this one. You want to keep looking at this or not? Yes means go ahead, no means not. Okay, well that's going on. We're going to count the votes and we'll have that tally after the budget.
That's it?
Okay, thanks everybody. Jackie, you want to talk about budget?
Who's going to gather? Barry, would you mind gathering those with Carrie?
I think Ellie offered to count too if you
That's
need
great.
some help. Okay, you're up.
Greetings, everyone.
Guess we didn't need the outline.
We get down to the dirty stuff now. Has everyone had a chance to look over the budget proposal papers? And if you've got any questions, you can ask. I don't know that I could answer them, but I'll try.
If that's true, I'd be surprised. I can tell Gloria's been had some thoughts to share with you.
Okay. Well, those are, well, because we decided not to.
Can you repeat the question so that everyone can hear?
For ne-
I just said if they had any questions about the budget to ask me, and I would answer them if I could.
and,
But-
and the question was, is why do some of these line items say 0?
read me one line of what it is, and I'll tell you.
Hold on, so Jackie, why don't you,
I don't have a copy of the budget.
okay, that's okay, why don't you, so we're gonna start with the treasurer's report.
Okay.
That's what's on the, right, we're gonna stick to the agenda. And so, Jackie, would you provide your treasurer's report before you take questions about them, please?
Okay. So we considered what we had spent last year. You will see in the second column, they're columns, 2 years, last year, current, next year. You can see those things, because this is a budget worksheet. And we looked at last year's actual money that was spent, and we did this the end of November, so we were guessing a little bit there. But when we got down to, well, let's see here, earnings and investments, for instance, you know, next year's budget is 0. That's line 409. And that means we don't have any investments left. So we put zeros in there for the budget. Well, we have to put zeros in there because of the program that Deb uses to run these things. Otherwise, we could have just taken the line out totally, but we couldn't do that. We have to leave it in there. So that's why you'll see whenever we found that we didn't need that line anymore, we just put zeros there.
John, could you put up the first slide, please? Great, so let's reflect on the year that's passed. So on your agenda, you'll see that first we start with the reflecting on how we did in 2025, and then we'll move to the 2026 budget.
Yeah.
Right? And so in 2025, we had some big events, right? Deacon Kirsten retired in March. We lowered the amount of money that was drawn from savings by making meaningful but manageable budget changes. So, right, that now we do drop in the bucket every week, and that's how we fund our benevolence, right? These other organizations. We talked a little bit about the one-on-one pastor-president meetings, and we also said last year when we were passing the budget that we would trust this process of reorganizing and re-envisioning what ministry and mission in our area will ultimately lead to in order to have a sustainable future. And so, just to put a finer point on this, these church relationships that we've been exploring are our long-term budget plan. We know that we have a budget that's unsustainable, and the way that we've chosen for last year we were starting to really push into it, right? And so as we look at 2026, the consolidation plan is our long-term budget plan, right? And so in terms of the nuts and bolts of 2025, John, can you do the next slide, please? Jackie, you want to take it from here?
Yep. So here you can see inflation has slowed a little, but our income hasn't risen a little. And we lowered the amount of money drawn from savings because we were able to reduce what we were spending. For instance, Kirsten ended her term with us in March, the end of March last year. So that gave us her salary to add to this. And then by the end of April, we will have consolidated the office staff or the office business, whatever. And that will reduce costs quite a bit because we pay almost $800 a month just to have that printer.
Okay, so just, does anyone have any questions before we move on to 2026 about 2025? We didn't quite have income that matched our expenses, but we were only off by about $6,000, right? So when we're wrapping up 2025, does anyone else have any questions about 2025 as it's unfolded? Gloria. You're missing votes?
You didn't pick up the votes?
Are there people who still have their ballots?
I do.
Oh, I didn't vote.
I haven't even marked it. I don't
Yeah.
have a pencil.
Okay. Does anyone have an extra piece of paper? You can probably guess.
Offer your pen
Here,
too.
I'll put it on here.
Mhm.
Okay, we got them. So just as we wrap up as we look back on 25, does anyone have any questions about how the budget went in 25? Perfect. Take it away, Jackie. What are we doing next?
Okay. And talking
John,
about
can you put up the next slide, please?
seeing how closely we come, with what we received and what we spent, God has a real sense of humor. And so, it makes you laugh to look at it. You think, oh, good, we had $18 income and we spent $18. How's that? But as I said, last year's figures are the second column on the left side, and the next year budget is the last column on the right side. And Pastor Cullen and I went through all this together, figuring out what things were going to cost and what we could afford to do, how we could do it, so forth. And we'll still be taking $7,000 a month out of our MIF account because we have enough to get us almost to the end of the year. And after that, we have money in our LEF, our escrow, or endowment fund, that we are allowed to extract funds for the needs of the church.
Great. So to that question, so you've got a sense of spending. This is what we're going to spend on. These are the top lines of the different categories in your budget worksheet. And so these are the top line headings, and that's the total of the top line numbers, right? And so you can see the pie is mostly what? Just like anywhere, it's mostly staff, right? Good. And so if we're going to spend this, where's the money going to come from? So John, could you put the next slide up? So here's how our spending related to other years, right? So over the past couple of years, we've been in this process of sort of dramatically changing our spending, and we're still behind, right? And so that's that trend. John, would you put the next slide up, please? Okay. And so what Jackie was just getting to there is where's the money going to come from, right? So what kind of income do we need for this? And so, Jackie, could you say that one more time, just so that we can hear it clearly?
Right now, we have about 86,000, well, when this was printed, 86,800 in MIF. You'll see it on the left-hand corner down there. Endowment fund, 118,000. And so the total is 204,800. When I say these numbers, I never know if they're right. How do I say 204,000?
If you want to find them on the budget worksheet,
Yes.
they're in the assets part, the very top. The savings are in the assets. And so that's on this budget worksheet, which is the line-by-line breakout. Does anyone want to see the line-by-line breakout who can't see it right now? Okay. Great news, Gloria. We made the changes that you suggested. And so the $500 difference has been changed. And so these are the accurate numbers now. Oh, okay. So specifically the investments number. So Gloria is pointing out that the number, the income projection, so 157 actually includes the 2,500. And so the total offering should have included that because that's how it looks on the budget worksheet. So good news, that number is a little higher than it's supposed to be. Any other questions about either the expenses or our offering targets? Jackie, do you want to say anything else about how these numbers came together? I think one thing that Jackie's really been highlighting is that question of do we have savings to spend more than we receive in offering? And so, the point here is that in order to cover our expenses with income, we will be drawing $76,000 from savings this year. And and so 2 years ago that number was $10,000 a month, and now it's going to be about $7,500 a month. Sorry, that's not right.
Yeah, 7,000.
Yeah, 6,000. Yeah, 600. No, hopefully it's not 666. Anyways.
And, over the last 6-8 months of 25, the offering was very even. You guys did a good job of keeping up the numbers that we were getting. And so if it can continue into this year, I don't think we'll be crying over anything. We'll be squeezing the buffalo till he burps, but, I guess it's not something
Yeah,
to...
are there other questions?
That's because at the end of April, we will terminate the lease on the copy machine we have because it is $800 a month lease rent. And we will use the copy machine at Faith Lilac Way. The Faith Lilac Way secretary will be taking over our newsletter and our bulletin and printing it for us. So that reduces what we're like $600 or we would only have to pay them $200 a month because their lease is $400 a month. And to share it, it would be on.
We would also plan to get a smaller machine in-house, and so we would just buy it outright because we can get a simple laser printer for $400.
Another thing we did was to change the telephone system in case anybody runs into any funny things. It's voiceover.
Voiceover, VoIP, yep.
Yeah, and that means pastor can answer the church phone anywhere he is, or a volunteer can answer the phone if they're, out playing golf or whatever. So we have reduced the phone bill quite a bit because it was pretty high.
If I was answering the phone on the golf course, I wouldn't have very good church language.
True.
John, can you just put back up the expense page one more time? Jackie, are you ready for questions?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Does anyone have any specific questions about the budget before we vote on the budget? I think the moral of the story for this year is that the consolidation process is our budget plan. And so you'll see that we're really sort of aiming at continuing to have the resources that we've been doing, instead of, if we were not doing this kind of thing, we would need to dramatically change our output, right, in order to stretch the money a little further.
And if you guys want to really find out how good God is being to us, I want you to read the FLCW report in the bulletin, because we had almost the same balance in December that we had in January. But we spent, remember, was it 10,000, 8,000, whatever it was. We did, I really laughed when I made that report. Yes.
I love it.
Because it was only a few dollars difference from January to December, and we had spent money like crazy.
Is there, so just it sounds like there are no questions. Jackie, do you want to hand things over to Dean so that we can take the vote?
Sure, after I tell you guys, don't worry about anything. God is in control. Right?
Absolutely.
And at the end of my report.
Very nice. Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie. Yeah. Okay, everybody okay with a show of hands vote? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the 2026 budget as presented by the treasurer? Jason? Justin. Sorry. Do we have a second? Ruth? Okay, those in favor of the 2026 budget as presented, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes, so we have a budget for next year. And
Yay.
I have the results of the vote. Yay. It was pretty close. It was basically all yes. We had everyone in person voted yes. There were 5 online yeses, and there were 5 onlines that did not vote. So we have a unanimous vote to continue.
There were no no's.
There were no no's.
You guys are great. Holy cow. Give yourselves a round of applause. All right.
Yay, what? Okay.
There we go.
Thank
One
you,
more to the
John.
tally.
Another vote to the yes column. Okay.
I didn't expect any of this.
I think that's about it, isn't it? Let me find my agenda here. Going to be late for the football game here.
I've heard a lot of questions, though.
Let's see, elections, all righty. We have one person who has agreed to be on council this year, Karen Hoganson. Well, did we have a motion to
Make sure I wasn't. Yeah.
elect? I'll make that one. Dan seconded. All those in favor of Karen on the church council? Aye. Oh, you got more aye than the budget did. Wow, that's good. Any no votes? Hearing none. Karen, welcome to the council. We appreciate it. See, I would like to thank Barry, and Carrie just had to go somewhere else there, but thank you for filling in on the mission new creation minute or mission team. Like to thank, yay. Like to thank John for the good sound. Yay. And of course, the audio visuals. Who else do I need to thank? Gloria, who does everything around here. Yay, Gloria. Yeah, that's right. And Adrian for taking notes. And I think Ellie did the counting back there. So. Yay, thanks. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's see.
We're going to go out with a prayer of encouragement. John, is there a slide for that?
I have one announcement.
Oh, good.
John, after the meeting, is going to hand out dead batteries at no charge. I went to a really emotional wedding last week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, even the cake was in tears. So. Keep my day job, right? Okay, you want to lead us in the closing prayer?
Let's stand together and pray the prayer of encouragement. Actually, we'll bless the food real quick and then we'll pray there. Gracious God, we're so thankful for the way that you gather us. God, as we go from here, we ask that you would nourish us and strengthen us. Bless the food and the hands that prepared it. And God, we pray, oh God, you have called your servants to ventures of which we cannot see.
righty. I declare the meeting adjourned. Thanks for being here, everybody. Appreciate it. Did good, Mary. Thanks. Oh, okay. I can take it. Thanks. Thanks for the help. Good to see you. How's Brady doing?